Dear Femi, I received your letter and must admit, it came as a surprise. Back in university, you were the embodiment of confidence, always 2 steps ahead, always in control. To see you this vulnerable, genuinely seeking advice, reminds me of the human frailty we all share. Thank you for trusting me with something so personal. As a psychologist, I will approach this matter as analytically as possible, but I'll also speak from the heart because, ultimately, this is about love, partnership, and the future. Let's dive into it together. Tommy. The candidates. A psychological breakdown. Aisha, the first love. Aisha represents your past, the foundation of your romantic ideals. Her elegance and stability make her a strong contender for someone who can ground you, especially given your restless and indulgent tendencies. However, her blind trust in you makes her vulnerable in a relationship where honesty has been lacking. Verdict: Aisha could provide stability, but the imbalance of power in your dynamic might lead to complacency. She needs a partner who matches her sincerity, and I'm not sure you've reached that level yet. Femi, the social butterfly. Femi is the life of the party, a spark of energy that brightens even the dullest moments. She has introduced you to new experiences and broadened your horizons. However, her need for constant attention could clash with your desire for a more private and controlled life once the party ends. Verdict: Femi is exciting but potentially fleeting. A long-term relationship requires more depth than social clout can provide. Kemi, the brain. Kemi is a fascinating choice. She challenges you, sees through your lies, and has the strength to call you out when you falter. That kind of mental stimulation is rare, but it can also be intimidating. Her flaw, her willingness to tolerate your deceit because of her affection, might make her resentful over time. Verdict: if you're ready to grow, Kemi could be your anchor. But she deserves a version of you that is honest and mature. Ngozi, the sophisticate. Ngozi is elegance personified, a perfect match for the public version of you. She understands the world you live in and navigates it effortlessly. However, her need for affirmation and status might leave you both caught in a cycle of superficial validation rather than genuine connection. Verdict: Ngozi complements your image but may not fulfill your deeper emotional needs. TT. The high flyer. TT is ambitious, independent, and powerful. She represents everything you admire but perhaps secretly envy. While her vulnerability makes her relatable, your dynamic might always feel like a power struggle. 2 strong individuals vying for dominance in different ways. Verdict: TT is inspiring, but your relationship might lack the harmony and balance needed for a lasting partnership. Ino. The dreamer. Ino's sensitivity and artistic perspective bring a sense of calm and creativity to your otherwise chaotic life. She is perhaps the one woman who doesn't demand anything from you beyond your presence. However, her insecurity makes her overly dependent on you, and that imbalance could become suffocating. Verdict: Ino is a sanctuary, but her dependency could lead to an unhealthy dynamic. Mariam, the new flame. Mariam is a symbol of purity and genuine affection. Her kindness and warmth are disarming, and she sees the good in you even when you struggle to see it yourself. However, her naivety might prevent her from recognizing your flaws until it's too late. Verdict: Mariam could be the one to help you rediscover your humanity, but only if you're willing to reciprocate her sincerity fully. My recommendation. Femi, this isn't just about who you like or who fits your current lifestyle. It's about who will push you to become the best version of yourself while also finding joy and fulfillment in the relationship. I believe Kemi is your perfect match. Here's why. Challenge and growth. Kemi challenges you intellectually and morally, something you desperately need if you're going to grow out of the shadow of your father's wealth and into a man of integrity. Balance of power. Unlike some of the others, Kemi won't let you dominate the relationship. She's strong enough to stand her ground, ensuring mutual respect. Emotional depth. Kemi's love for you isn't blind, it's nuanced. She sees your flaws but still chooses to stay. That kind of love isn't common, and it's worth holding on to. However, there's a catch. For this relationship to work, you must be willing to change. You can't continue your current lifestyle and expect Kemi or any of these women to thrive in that environment. If you're not ready to be honest and commit, then none of these relationships will succeed. A final word. You've spent years indulging in fantasy, But now it's time to face reality. If you continue down this path, you risk losing everything: your reputation, your legacy, and the respect of the women who once loved you. Choose Kemi. Not because she's perfect, but because she's the one who can make you better. And if you're not ready to be the man she deserves, let her go so she can find someone who is. Remember, Femi, love isn't just about what you take. It's about what you give. Your friend, Tommy. Femi was seated in his lounge, absent-mindedly flipping through his phone. His usual confidence had been replaced by a growing sense of dread. Tommy's letter had struck a nerve, but the task ahead felt monumental. How do I put away 6 women without blowing up my entire life? He wondered. As if summoned by his thoughts, the doorbell rang. It was Ngozi, her elegance as striking as ever, but her eyes carried a mixture of nervousness and excitement. Femi, we need to talk, she began, stepping into the room with an air of seriousness. What's the matter, Ngozi? Femi asked, offering her a seat. Ngozi hesitated for a moment, then blurted out, I'm pregnant. Femi froze, the color draining from his face. What did you just say? I said I'm pregnant, Ngozi repeated, her voice steady but her hands trembling slightly. It's yours, Femi. I've been feeling strange for weeks, so I took a test. I thought you'd be happy. For a moment, Femi didn't speak. Then, his expression hardened. Happy? Ngozi, are you insane? This is not the time for this kind of nonsense. You need to take care of it. Go to a clinic and... Excuse me. Ngozi interrupted, her voice rising. Are you telling me to abort my child? Our child? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, Femi snapped. Do you know what this will do to me? To us. Ngozi, be reasonable. Ngozi's face darkened. She stood up, towering over Femi despite his imposing frame. Femi Adegbite, you have no idea who you're dealing with. If you think I'll kill my child to protect your precious reputation, you're mistaken. And since you seem so worried about what your family will think, maybe I should tell your father myself. After all, we had such a lovely conversation at his funeral. Femi's heart stopped. You met my father? Ngozi's lips curled into a triumphant smile. I introduced myself after the burial. He knows my name, my career, everything. And if you push me, I'll make sure he knows about his grandchild too. Femi barely had time to recover from his confrontation with Ngozi before his phone rang a few days later. It was Ino, her usually soft voice filled with urgency. Femi, can I come over? It's important, she said. Not now, Ino. I'm busy, Femi replied, still reeling from his conversation with Ngozi. It's about the baby, Ino said, her voice breaking. Femi almost dropped his phone. What baby? Our baby. Femi. I found out last week. I didn't know how to tell you. For a moment, Femi felt like the walls were closing in. Ino, you can't be serious. Are you sure it's mine? Ino's tone turned icy. How dare you? You think I'm lying? I thought you'd be happy, Femi. I thought this was a sign for us to settle down and build a life together. Femi let out a bitter laugh. Settle down? Ino, do you even hear yourself? This is the worst possible timing. You need to get rid of it. I can't believe you, Ino whispered, her voice filled with tears. I won't do it, Femi. And if you force me, I'll tell everyone about us. Before Femi could even process Ino's revelation, Titi showed up at his doorstep, dressed in her usual corporate chic attire but with an uncharacteristic nervousness in her demeanor. Titi, not now, Femi groaned. Oh, it's now or never, Titi said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Femi, I'm pregnant. Femi felt like his brain short-circuited. He looked at her, wide-eyed, as though she had just declared war. You too, he muttered under his breath. What do you mean, you two? Titi asked, narrowing her eyes. Nothing, Femi said quickly, running a hand through his hair. Titi, we can't have a child right now. You're a banker. You understand timing. This isn't it. You need to think about your career. My career? Titi shot back. What about my life? What about our child's life? Femi, I thought you were different. Titi, I'm begging you. Let's be practical about this, Femi pleaded. Titi crossed her arms. Practical? Femi, I'm keeping this baby, whether you like it or not. And if you think you can ignore me, think again. I have your father's number on speed dial. That night, Femi paced the length of his luxurious living room, his mind racing. 3 pregnancies. 3 women who refused to bend to his will. His usual charm and lies had hit a brick wall. Is this karma? He muttered to himself. Is this the universe finally punishing me for my sins? For the first time, Femi felt truly trapped. His usual strategies, sweet talk, manipulation, avoidance, were useless. He thought about Tommy's advice, about choosing one woman and letting the others go, but now even that seemed impossible. And then, a terrifying thought crossed his mind. What if the others are also pregnant? Femi sank into his plush leather couch, burying his face in his hands. The king of escapades was now a prisoner of his own desires. But deep down, another thought gnawed at him. This isn't the end of the chaos, it's only the beginning.